I prefer my wrestling to be presented like the Muppets as opposed to MMA, UFC, because then I will, if you, at least for me, I will, if you try to make it too much like a sport, I will watch it like a sport. That means I tune in at the main event. You know what I mean? I'll have it on in the background, like to kind of listen to. But then I'm talking to like my homies, hey, let's have a beer. We're talking shit. How's work and blah blah blah. And then once in a while we're like, okay, they're did you see that replay? Oh yeah. But then most of the time we're just talking. Yeah. Whereas the Muppets, I'm watching the whole damn thing because there's silly shit happening. Everything's kind of short bits. And then it's the idea of the Muppets is that it's the show within the show. So it's like we get to see the show happening backstage, and then we also get to see that the show that these characters intended to put on is what's happening in the ring, and you still have to see that too, so there's something happening all the fucking time. So that's why it's like, it's a lot to watch, it's entertaining, it's this. But where it's sport, there's only things happening in the ring.
I've never heard that analogy before, but that might be the best analogy I've ever heard for pro wrestling.
Yeah.
Wow, that it's like the Muppet Show.
Yeah, well, it depends. Yeah, so it depends on how you like to watch. Some people I know don't like the Muppets. They don't like that. It's that cartoon bullshit. So of course they can't watch, something that's presented that way. The WWF is going to be too cartoony for them. They have to watch, New Japan or something that's presented more sport and serious. Nothing wrong with that. That's just how, different strokes, different folks.
Well, each company has its own audience, I think, they're speaking to. And I think that's a huge misconception.
Right.
That not all of wrestling is for every single fan.
Find what you like.
And you can find what you like within those shows too.
Yeah.
You can like this character or this match from this company and like this character or this match from this company.
Yes.
And that's okay.
Absolutely. The more wrestling, the better.
But there's a lot of people that are like, well, I don't like WWE because I like this other company. Or I like AEW, which means I don't,
Original PWG, I think... Let me see. Probably maybe 2005, 6, 7. Obviously, the poster I have on my wall is from 2007. I got into the business. This is May, the DDT4 tournament.
That's on my birthday. Wow.
Yeah, right?
May 19th.
Yeah.
I'll have to show that poster after.
DDT4 2007 was the very first tag tournament they had, and I was there, and I started training wrestling the next month, and just... Damn, I forgot what I was getting at.
We were talking about liking one company, not liking the other company.
That version of PWG from that era, probably like 2005 to 2010, 11, it was super variety. Like, they had these super matches, but then they also had funny, and then they had the locals, and then they had this, and they had that. Like, everything was kind of different. Nothing was just a super show of straight tough matches. It was like you had the opening match was like maybe a zany six-man featuring some of the locals, and it was a different flavor of all the people, and it's like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. And the next match was maybe something a little bit more work rate, a little bit more serious. So it's someone in from Japan, and he has a real more serious match, which was a little bit, and it's a little bit more longer and methodical and more grapply and serious as opposed to the crazy six-man that we saw. And then the next match, they didn't have very many of them, but it's like maybe a women's match, you know what I mean? And then the next match is Lucha, and then the next match is Kikutaro being funny. It's hilarious, it's silly, and then the next match it's like a serious badass tag match with like the Briscoe brothers or something, and then intermission. And then we come back and we have like a zany tag which features a mixture of just everything, because it has like the Los Luchas, Zocre and Phoenix start doing crazy shit over here, and then the Rock Nest Monsters doing crazy shit over here, and then you have Ricochet doing some crazy shit over here, and then someone being silly over here, and then you have your PWG main event, which would be like you bring in whoever your stars in at the time. Here's your Eddie Kingston. A couple times they had him, Chris Hero, and then he'll maybe wrestle the better local, like the Scott Lost, or he'll wrestle another fly-in that you wouldn't expect to see him wrestle, like a Davey Richards or El Generico, or
Look, I'll watch this show. You just booked a great show.
That's what I'm saying. And then they had like El Generico in a tag team with Quicksilver, who was a local guy who was hot at the time, and then Human Tornado was doing a great feud with Chris Hero, with Candice LeRae kind of sprinkled in the middle, and now she's showing glimpses of her being able to kick ass with the dudes. And then they had Necro Butcher come common at the time to be in these crazy brawls with guys you wouldn't expect. And they had Eddie Kingston, and then they had all the locals that everyone fell in love with. You had Scott Lost, Chris Bosch, Quicksilver, like I said. And then later on, you had other locals coming in, like myself, Ray Rosas, the Rock Ness Monsters, Yuma, Kevin Martinson, Russ Taylor, Willie Mack, and to be able to have us sprinkle in there with all these other guys, Brian Cage, and it was
Hey, I think the point of what I'm saying here is it's okay to like what you like.
Yes.
And it's also okay to not like what you don't
Totally.
like. But it's not okay to not like someone or someone's opinion for what they don't like.
Yeah.
And I think that like there's so much of it out there, especially now. There's so much wrestling.
Especially with a show like that, which is a mixture of
that show
everything.
you just listed is so good.
Yeah. I brought friends to those shows, and they were not wrestling fans, and they didn't like every match. But I remember at the end of it, I would ask them, "Who did you like?" Oh man, Pac was amazing. He did those flips and the blah 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 blah. I was like, "Oh, and who did you like?" "Oh man, Chris Bosch is a dickhead. He's punching dudes in the dick, but he's hilarious." You know what I mean? It was great to see who they liked, and it was none of them knew who any of those dudes were until that day. You know.